When you think about what really keeps a nation safe, sure, you picture soldiers, tanks, maybe jets.
Mm-hmm. The visible stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's this whole other layer, right? The unseen world of intelligence. Agencies working behind the scenes to figure out threats.
Absolutely critical. And that's what we're getting into today.
We're doing a deep dive into Croatia's military security and intelligence agency. You'll often see it called VSOA.
That's right. And we've got some pretty solid sources to work from here. We've looked at the VSOA's own overview, the actual law that created it back in '06, and some news reports, too, which give some real-world context.
So the mission for you, listening in, is to come away with a really clear picture of what this agency does, who they answer to, and how they fit into Croatia's whole security setup.
Exactly. We'll piece it all together.
Okay, so origins. Let's start there. When did the VSOA actually appear on the scene?
Officially, the date is August 17th, 2006. But, like you often find, it didn't just spring up overnight.
Ah, okay. There was something before it.
Yeah, it grew out of the previous military security agency. The big change came with that 2006 act, the Act on the Security Intelligence System of the Republic of Croatia.
That sounds like the foundational document.
It really is. Published in the Official Gazette, numbers 79 and 105 that year, that law basically laid out the blueprint for the VSOA as we know it now.
And in terms of structure, who's in charge? Who appoints the head of the VSOA, and where does it actually sit organizationally?
Well, appointing or dismissing the director isn't a small thing. It takes a joint decision from both the president of Croatia and the prime minister.
So a top-level agreement needed there.
Definitely. And organizationally, it's set up as a specific unit within the Ministry of Defense.
Which makes sense given the name.
Exactly. It aligns with its core mission.
Right. So let's talk about that mission. What's the VSOA primarily tasked with? What's their main job?
At its heart, their job is to support the Ministry of Defense and the Croatian Armed Forces. And the ultimate goal of that support.
Protecting the country.
Pretty much. Defending Croatia's existence, its sovereignty, independence, and its territorial integrity. The absolute fundamentals.
So they're looking outwards, scanning the horizon for threats.
Yes, but it's broader than just watching troop movements. They're analyzing things like political shifts, maybe economic factors in other countries, and anything external that could potentially ripple outwards and affect Croatia's stability or defense.
That's a wide net. So practically speaking, what kind of intel are they gathering day to day?
A big part is looking externally. They collect, analyze, process, evaluate information on other countries' military setups, their defense systems.
Keeping tabs on capabilities elsewhere.
Right, and also monitoring actions happening outside Croatia that could impact Croatian defense or security. Think maybe new weapons tech emerging somewhere else, or alliances shifting.
Okay.
And, of course, tracking any activities abroad that are specifically aimed at endangering Croatia's defense. That's a key focus, too.
Got it. So that's the external picture. What about threats or potential issues inside Croatia? Is VSOA involved there?
Yes, they have a domestic role too, but it's quite specific. They gather intelligence on individuals, groups, organizations within Croatia whose actions might jeopardize the defense of the state.
So counterintelligence or internal security, but focused on defense.
Kind of. It includes detecting potential threats, monitoring them, and also, importantly, taking steps to deter those actions.
Now, you mentioned laws earlier. Intelligence work obviously bumps up against individual rights sometimes. Are there specific limits on what the VSOA can do?
Yes, this is really important. The act we mentioned, the one from 2006, Articles 26 and 33 are key here.
Okay, what do they say?
They basically state that the VSOA's power to gather information in ways that might restrict constitutional rights and freedoms. That power is only applicable to employees or members of the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces.
Really, only within the military and defense ministry sphere.
That's what the law specifies. It's a significant limitation, designed, it seems, to balance security needs with protecting the rights of the general civilian population.
That is a crucial distinction. Okay, moving from the legal framework to real-world operations. Our sources mentioned a specific case, the Ukrainian MiG-21 deal investigation. Sounds intriguing.
Yes, that was quite a significant event, highlighted in the news sources we looked at. It goes back to 2013, a multi-million-euro contract to repair 5 older MiG-21 fighter jets.
Okay, repairs contracted out.
To Ukrspesport, a Ukrainian state-owned arms company. The jets were delivered back in 2015.
I sense there's a but coming.
There is. They were grounded pretty quickly due to safety concerns. Not what you want with fighter jets.
Definitely not. So VSOA got involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2016, the VSOA teamed up with the military police to investigate what went wrong.
Good joint investigation.
Right. And their findings led Croatia's anti-corruption body, USO, that's the Office for the Suppression of Organized Crime and Corruption, to file indictments against 2 Croatian citizens. One was reportedly an employee at the Ministry of Defense, and the other was connected to the company involved in the deal.
And the core of the indictment. What was the alleged wrongdoing?
The documents mention serious indications of troubling actions that may affect the defensive capability of Croatia. The implication was pretty strong: potential corruption in how that repair deal was handled.
Wow. So not just faulty work, but potentially criminal activity affecting national security.
Exactly. As of early 2018, the case was apparently still with the district court in Zagreb, looking specifically at corruption related to those repairs done in Ukraine. It really shows the VSOA's role isn't just external intelligence, it's also about protecting the integrity within the defense system itself.
That's a really concrete example. So we know what they do, the limits, an example. Who's been at the helm over the years? Who leads the VSOA?
Well, the sources give us a few names. The first director when VSOA was formed in 2006 was Major General Gordon Očić. He served until 2008. Then came Lieutenant General Darko Grdić from 2008 right up to 2015, a fairly long tenure.
7 years, yeah.
After him, Brigadier General Ivica Kinder took over in 2015. Now, our sources also mention Brigadier General Ivan Turkalj as the current director.
Okay. So Kinder's tenure might have ended, or there's an overlap. Sometimes details on current leadership take a moment to update in public sources.
Precisely. Leadership transitions are normal, but the specific dates around Kinder and Turkalj might need a bit more recent clarification than our sources provided.
Understood. So zooming out again, we have the VSOA with its specific military intelligence and security role. How does it connect to the bigger picture of Croatian security?
It's definitely part of a wider system. You have the main security and intelligence agency, the SOA, which likely handles broader intelligence, maybe more civilian focus.
Right, different mandates.
And then, obviously, VSOA works hand in glove with its parent body, the Ministry of Defense, and coordinates with the active military of Croatia.
So it's like pieces of a puzzle. Each agency has its corner.
That's a good way to put it. An ecosystem, you could say. Each part has its function. Military intelligence, general intelligence, defense policy, military operations, all theoretically working together for national security.
It is fascinating seeing how these structures are set up. And it's good we could draw on different kinds of information for the agency itself, the law, news reports,
Yeah,
give a more rounded view.
absolutely. Relying on just one type of source can give you a skewed perspective. This mix helps build, hopefully, a more balanced understanding.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the key things we've covered. The VSOA, established in 2006, replacing an older agency.
Based on that specific act.
Its core mission: supporting the Ministry of Defense and Armed Forces to protect Croatia's sovereignty, independence, the fundamental stuff.
Primarily through intelligence focused on military and defense matters, both external and internal threats to defense.
And we touched on those crucial legal limits, particularly that their power to gather info that might infringe rights is restricted to defense personnel.
Well, a very important legal boundary.
And we looked at that MiG-21 investigation as a real-world case study, highlighting their role in probing potential corruption affecting defense capabilities.
Yeah, showing their internal security function alongside the external intelligence gathering. It performs a vital role, clearly, within its defined legal box.
It really does. And that brings us to something important for you, the listener, to think about. We've talked about an agency tasked with protecting national security, operating within legal limits.
Right, the classic balancing act.
Exactly. So the question for you is, in a democracy, where do you draw that line? How do you effectively protect the nation from genuine threats while also making absolutely sure you're safeguarding individual rights and freedoms?
It's never easy.
Never. It's a constant tension, a complex challenge that every democratic society grapples with. And the way agencies like the VSOA are structured, empowered, and limited is right at the very center of that debate, something to definitely mull over.